I want to talk a little bit about power. I think it's such an opportune time with all the power dynamics being played out on the world stage that we might reflect on our own relationship to power and how it's playing out within us or just in our individual relationships. And so one caveat here is I'm going to be pointing to a problem of power, not the wisdom aspects of taking our power back and dismantling power correctly and that kind of thing. I'm talking about a um, a coming from powerlessness that seems to be um, part of our human experience. So what I mean by that is that there seems to be in all of our experience a sense of trying to mitigate a feeling of powerlessness. And no matter how much we succeed or how much we acquire, it seems that our feelings of power are very short lived. Even if we're standing on top of the mountain of some achievement that we've um, that we could even own that we've succeeded, there's very quickly a gnawing background experience of in the very next moment that power could be taken away. And that's because that kind of power can be taken away. If you look around the world and look for what we think is powerful, there's really nowhere that power stays, or I don't have any examples of it. Power kind of seems to move around, it changes. It never really is something that we can acquire. It's very elusive in that way. And so, what I'm suggesting is this very ordinary human tendency to strive has a wisdom aspect, of course, getting what we want, becoming better, being better citizens. But often it's coming from a sense of deficiency. And the way I want to talk about the deficiency playing out is in four styles of power, you could say. Power coming from powerlessness, or reactive power, we could say. And the first style is just kind of like aggression. It's because I feel powerlessness and don't quite um, own that experience, I tend to project that power is outside, somewhere else. It's in another object or another person. So, with that idea, I will both revere a person in power or an object, I will admire it in some way. And at the same time, I'll resent it or I'll want to diminish it in some way because um, this way of looking at power is actually a projection. I've given away my power and then I'm sort of trying to take it back from someone in a certain way. The second style is more like a collapse to our powerlessness. So it looks more like when we get around people of power or objects of power, we tend to feel our smallness. A sense of shame is often the emotional quality of it. We may feel self judgment. We may become very, very sensitive to criticism, this kind of thing. So it's more like instead of the aggression going out, trying to dismantle what we think is more powerful than us, we actually drive the aggression towards ourselves, sort of like self hatred in some way. A third style is what we could call a kind of rescuing behavior. Um, Healing professionals, helpers, therapists, um, people of my ilk, you could say, tend to have some exploration to do here in terms of how would powerlessness be being activated by helping people? Well, it might look like a kind of if I redeem others from their powerlessness, then I'll be redeemed in some way. So the archetype, say, of the hero or the Messiah complex, which comes up in this style, would be like we are consciously or unconsciously seeking people with less power than us due to our not owning of our own power or projecting our powerlessness. We look for people, or people who feel that they have less power may be seeking us, thinking we have the power. And the dynamic that gets set up there in the pathological sense, again, I'm not saying it's all bad, but the pathological sense is that if I redeem someone, I'll feel powerful again. The fourth style is short and sweet. It's kind of the style of, I don't have any problems with power. In a way, this is humorous to me, but it's also maybe one of the more dangerous styles. People who have no um, insight into the actual vulnerability of the human animal. That the view that I have no issues with power is either someone who's done a hell of a lot of work on themselves or none at all, basically. And so, what's the way out of this? Well, one start might be we could update our philosophy on what power is. You know, power isn't, like we were saying, a power isn't a thing or something that we get and then it stays. That kind of view of power, just the way of thinking of it that way, is disempowering. So, is there any other way to think of it? I mean, what if we thought of it as a kind of a verb, that there's powering, there's there's things that we can do that generate a process of power, knowing that there's no arrival point where power is going to be some um, mountaintop that we stand on in any way. There's just no evidence for it.